Welcome to Conversations with Reinforced Engineers podcast, India's first podcast for and by civil engineers. Join us on our journey to simplify and bring you experiences straight from the industry. This is your host Gokul G. Kumar along with co-hosts E.S. Krishnaram and Padmadip Joshi. So let's jump right into it. Welcome to the second episode of Conversations with Reinforced Engineers podcast. And thank you so much guys for the love you have shown for our first episode. And thank you for all your valuable suggestions. And we will definitely try to implement these suggestions in our future episodes. So I am your host Gokul G. Kumar with the co-host E.S. Krishnaram. And we also have our expert Padmadip Joshi for this discussion. So in this episode, we will be discussing the impact of COVID-19 on our construction industry. We know that in today's situation, there is hardly any sector which is unaffected by this pandemic. So our industry is one of the worst affected, I would say. So each and every segment witnessed some or the other changes after the lockdown. So whether it is site work, planning, contracts, or administration, consultancy, every department is affected by this crisis. So would you like to comment something about the current situation, PD?
As we all know, within few months of time, a disease became a disaster for million people. The rate at which virus spread from person to person, from city to city, across the globe, raised an alarm for the industry as well as for the government to reevaluate how we are going to move forward. So, if we take a pause and see like how we are going to move forward with such a pandemic to look, especially for the construction industry. And when we are talking of construction industry, we have to always look at the growth sector. So if we talk of the current situation, I think even Krishnaram would agree with me that currently we are so focused on building the industrial corridors, working on the smart cities, working on the metro rail lines. I think in the last year we have started projects in more than 10 cities to run metro lines. Even commercial spaces was getting a very great attention in these times. So it is very difficult to digest this news, first of all. So I don't know like what is in the pocket in the coming future.
Yes, PD, I agree with you because this pandemic has done a lot of disruption in our industry. Yeah. And Krishna, would you like to add some point to it?
Yes, what Padmadip is actually trying to say was true. Because in India, we was considering infrastructure sector and even real estate sector to be a big push to the Indian economy. Like we were expecting that spendings in infrastructure. We actually had a national infrastructure pipeline that was announced by the finance minister back in the December of 2019. And before we could take any solid action on that, we are being surrounded by this pandemic. And this is definitely going to, hold back the efforts that is being done in this front, not only in India, but also even across the world. But since we are focusing on India, this is going to definitely set back a lot of our efforts by a significant amount of time.
Yes, Krishna, yes. So there are a lot of challenges faced by our industry in this pandemic time. So PD, would you like to talk something about it?
Sure thing, Gokul. Actually, if you look at the past data, since 1991, this is the fastest downgrade we have ever experienced. And if you look at the global data also, the growth rate for our construction industry was projected somewhere around 3.1%. But due to this current situation, it is somewhere around 0.5%. That's scary, right? But
Yes.
the immediate effect, if we talk about the immediate effect on our construction industry, that to the Indian construction industry, the bottleneck in the entire system is the supply chain. Oh, we never tried to understand and evaluate this thing. We never thought, okay, this entire transportation thing could be a big burden for any project. Because of that, there are a lot of issues for the cash flows to run their projects from the contractor end. Even migrant workers were feeling so insecure to stay on the site, not because of the safety aspects, but only because their livelihood was in trouble. So there are a lot of aspects to look for. I think in the past few days, if you look for some of the reports, you might also came across this data that more than 60% of the migrant workers has been laid off till now, and there is no sign of any positive thing that when they're gonna join the site bikes. many of the real estate sector has been facing layoff for their employees as well, because there is no new business coming in, and the liabilities has been increased day by day. Equipments, what we talk about the equipments, we have studied this things at NICMAR as well. Like we have to always keep the assets and the liability in the balance, but equipments have become burden to many of the contractors. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's a great challenge to look for.
Yes,
PD,
PD.
I do take 1 second, Google. PD, I
Repeat,
do
repeat.
take in that some of the issues that we have been burdened with, like you already mentioned, supply chain management, logistical issues, even labor crisis to some extent. But do you think that at this moment the interest of the government would be to spend more in infrastructure and things like that, because they have a bigger issue at hand, right? So do you think there is going to be any kind of slowdown, especially in the government spending in our sector, like for core infrastructure? Do you think that that's a possibility?
See, if you look from the government side, I think you are already aware about the stimulus package, which was announced by the Nirmala Sitaraman,
Yes, yes.
our finance minister. So government is trying to pump money into the infrastructure, that is nearly around 20 lakh crore, if I'm not wrong. So they are trying to work out different aspects. They are also giving extension to the contractors, something around 6 months. They are also trying to give them back guarantees. But when you look at the project from the contractor side, or from a site engineer's perspective, it becomes very difficult for people who are working in India to follow the new norm, because we are still struggling to put helmets on our employees and laborers, and
True,
now we are
true, true.
talking about maintaining safety distance.
Hmm.
So it's a long road ahead. Like I think we need to focus more on the policy aspects. I think this is what you are trying to highlight, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think the government will always focus on infrastructure sector because lot of population is dependent on our construction sector. If the government will give proper funds to this infrastructure sector, then only that money will flow into common man's pocket, I think. One more thing I would like to add is a lot of legal changes has happened in this COVID-19 era. We know that lot of delays have happened due to this situation. And due to this, contract document will play a major role to claim the compensation, I guess. So almost all the red flag clauses got affected, and even our general conditions and some special conditions of the contract also got affected. People are digging up this always ignored clause, which is force majeure clause, which is always neglected while framing a contract. So nobody expected a pandemic, and most of the companies never included this term pandemic in this. Now what's happening is their legal advisors are going to vote, and they are asking for clarification whether this particular clause can be invoked due to this situation. So PD, would you like to say something about this?
Yes, Gokul. I think I agree with your points. Currently, if you look at our contract documents, especially which are practiced in India, you rightly mentioned about the red flag clauses as well. But if you look at these contract documents, they are very stringently prepared, I would say. It still lacks in clarity in many of the terms. So when we are talking about agile life cycle or lean construction technique, why we are not thinking about smart contracts or more agile kind of a contractual documents? See, it is very difficult to predict a pandemic, but it is always good to prepare for such situations. So how would you prepare for such situations from a contract point of view? You have to be ready to make some amendments if something comes up. And it is very sad to know that hardly few consultants have mentioned the word pandemic in the documents. Otherwise, it is very disputable in India nowadays. So yeah, it's a huge question to look for, and I think technology should be used for drafting contracts in the coming days as well.
Yes, yes, PD. So, PD, what's your perspective on the term unorganized sector, which we used to hear, always used to hear in our industry?
That's very nice, Gokul. I think this unorganized word has been stayed with the construction industry since very long now. So if you try to go deeper to understand why our sector is called unorganized, is majorly due to the poor industry image. Like, and why I say the word very poor industry image is because there are multiple factors. Because when you talk about construction industry, the first thing any professional would ask you is your project on time? Are you completing your project within the budget? All those things, the cost management parameters, project management parameters. So these are some of the things. So I came across this very good report from the guy Mark Farmer. The book name is very interesting, huh, Krishna? You should definitely look for it.
Okay,
The
which
book
one?
name is called Modernize or Die.
Uh-huh.
Can you relate it? The name, it's
Yes,
called
bro.
Modernize or Die.
Mhm.
So that guy is talking about few of the factors which is making this sector near to unorganized. We cannot say like we are completely unorganized, but near to unorganized. So he's talking about the factors like we are still struggling with the issues like low productivity, low predictability in terms of cost, time projections, lack of R&Ds. Like we still have less than 5% of our total capital for the R&D work. So yeah, there is a lot of work to do in our
No,
sector.
but PD, are you trying to say that associating unorganized sector and construction industries just because we are very bad at maintaining our image, or don't you fundamentally think that that problem exists very deeply in our industry?
See, that's again a very good point. But if you look for any project in Indian construction industry, we still work on a very survival mindset. We try to recover money for the project we are working on. But I see very few leaders, like there are many few MNCs who are looking at the projects after 5 years. What will be the future opportunities? What will be the next projects they will be looking for? So this survival mindset is still pulling our legs down, and we are still not able to what you call open our curiosity eyes and look at the industry in a better way. I think after pandemic, now we are talking about the safety aspects, now we are talking about the digitizing things, but the construction 4.0 started way back. We had AI, machine learning tools way back. Why we are still struggling to use those aspects? Why we are still struggling to have construction management apps to manage our reports on site? So these are some of the issues we are facing, but obviously we are moving towards a better world. We are trying to cope up with these things, and soon with the time and with the correct strategies, we'll be definitely winning this game.
Actually, PD, that is quite true because in a construction site, nearly everything happens on a survival mode. Like, even though we have a lot of plan, it is like we'll get today's stuff done, then we'll see tomorrow. So I guess that that feeling is always there. I don't know if it is going to change or not. What do you think?
Yes, Krishna, but it is time to change, right? We are facing a lot of issues due to this pandemic, and it is a best. I believe it is the best time we can move on to new things, and we can adopt new technologies into our industry.
So coming to the question of adoption of new technology and stuff like that, don't you think that we as a sector is not spending that much on innovation and research? See, there are some, but I don't think that there was any path breaking innovation or invention that happened in our sector in the say past 10 or 20 years. So do you think that there is some lacking that we are having in this area, innovation and research?
See, what is happening is we have technologies, we know about the technologies, but we don't have a particular place where to apply these technologies and how these technologies can be utilized in our sector. This is the main issue what we are facing.
Yes, Krishna, I agree with you. I think we are not very sure like what percentage of R&D works has been done by the construction industry. I think very small margin has been kept by the contractors and clients for such things. So if I take a very small example for R&D works, due to this current pandemic, I think each and every employee or even the workman on site has to wear this safety mask, right? So
Yes.
have we tried to put any investment for the R&D work, like how to take care of the comfort for this thing? Because it's very difficult to put the safety mask on the laborers for 8 to 12 hours. It might get dirty, it might be very much humid inside. So how we are going to face such issues? That's a big question.
But PD, I do get that. See, one of the reasons why even clients or even contractors might not want to invest any amount of money into innovation and research is that they might not be getting an immediate return on the money that they are investing right now. That might not be the case for other industries because they'll be getting very fast results. But if a contractor or a client is spending that much kind of money on a project to project basis for research and development, they don't see getting any of their money back. So might that be a problem that they are not investing any resources into innovation and research?
Bang on, Krishna, you are very true. But if you see this from a perspective of students or from a perspective of researcher, we can clearly see that their alignment of interest is not in line because of this mindset, the survival mindset that we should not invest more in terms of safety aspects or more in terms of welfare of these people. Now migrants are moving back to their homes. They are trying to avail some very minimum services which is given by the government, by the Manrega scheme, and some kind of grains they are providing. They are not trying to stick up with the clients or the contractors. They could have earned near around 1200 to 1300 rupees per day, but they are happy by earning around 400 to 500 by going to their home as well. So this is the entire cycle I think we have to look for. See, the change cannot come only from the bottommost of the pyramid. It has to be a transformational change.
But I believe that the organization itself should provide all the safety kits and masks. As you have correctly mentioned, PD, the masks which are provided. I have seen people like while talking, they always remove their mask and they talk. So these mindset is always there among our workers. It's the best time we should give them awareness about how this pandemic situation is getting on us and how we can tackle it. We have to give them awareness that how to use this safety mask, and it's the organization's responsibility to provide daily checkups for them.
Do you think that providing daily checkups at a construction site would be that feasible? Like,
See, the situation is like we are losing something, it's okay, but if one person in our crew get affected or get infected, it will be a chain reaction to all our workers. So ultimately our productivity will get affected, our work will get affected. I think we should it's the company's responsibility to make their people aware about this.
Yes, you are very correct. Currently, there are a lot of issues in terms of screening of employees and workmen. But if you guys remember, we studied something called management reserves and contingency reserves, right? So
Yes, yes.
contractors have already planned this sum of money for the emergency situation. So why we cannot try to put a bit amount for the safety aspect? Because currently their motive has to be like keep their work rolling. So that has to be the first aspect for any project, I guess. So there is like ways available. It is just like how we are going to initiate and how we are going to move forward with it. So if I share a very funny story with you all guys. Recently I came across one of the project back in Gujarat. They were using this construction management app. I'm talking about the technological innovation which is helping them to fight this pandemic. So this construction management app is helping them to maintain social distance on site, take the daily attendance, even to monitor their temperature, to keep the health records of the people. So it came to my mind, and if you can like look at some of the reports, you'll find this details. I think Gokul would remember while working on the L&T projects. You have seen this weekly, monthly, and yearly reports, right? So why
Yes.
can't we attach this data to that, the health related data of the employees and workmen? It gives a very transparent agenda to the client that okay, we are following all the guidelines. We have our things at the place. We have made amendments in terms of the safety aspects, and we are doing our best to resolve the problems. Second great thing happening, I think not all would agree, and not all the projects are using it, but beam technology is really a game changing in this time. Because earlier all the board meetings, project management events used to be done on the project side, but now people are moving on a virtual platform. They are looking for more collaborative solutions from them home itself. So now we have identified that material management can be done far from the site. Board meetings, project management aspects like scheduling, cost management, design related reviews can be done online. So all those things has been taken care by the beam software. And if you look more further into such technologies, the drones have been working very nicely in India. Yes, there are limitations. It is
Exactly.
not
Yes.
very accurate. It is not very accurate, and it is not very affordable, and our rules are not very feasible to use because you cannot fly drones on anyone. There are some very privacy issues associated. But just think about it, bro. How convenient and easy it would become in coming future. So, like I jokingly said to one of my friend, like he was asking me, man, what should I look for the new skills? So I said, bro, try to learn how to fly drones and all. So that's a new thing coming up, bro.
Drones and construction industry, maybe one can even think of a drone based startup, especially for construction industry. Great opportunities there in the drone sector, I do agree that. And
Truly.
before we go on to discussion on drones and stuff like that, PD, I would like just to question on one of the statement that you just made. Not question, actually you just said that not every project might be using Bing, but I guess at this moment every civil engineer knows the advantages of using Bing. But what do you think
Hmm.
is the barrier towards the adoption? Because see, even if it is a client or it is a contractor, they know that if they are adopting Bing for their project, there are X, Y, Z advantages, but still they are not doing it. What do you think is the barrier?
I think just few days back, I was having a conversation with one of my friend. So I was praising actually the Beam tool to him, and he said a very beautiful thing. It's not very in a negative sense, but he was very true. He said the way we are now comfortable with the Excel, AutoCAD softwares, we cannot be so compatible with the Beam because it is not designed to adapt with the environment. It is designed to adapt with the software package itself. Second thing is to use Beam, technical skills are required. You required some very sound professionals who are aware with all the aspects. Beam is more like a collaborative software where you can upload your designs related to engineering, mechanical, MEP, electrical drawings, something related to modeling into 3D. You can also do analysis. You can predict things. Lot of things can be done. Beam is not just like creating a 3D model. So you require very strong team to work on this. It's very funny that I have seen many clients have written in their contractual document that we would require beam model as part of the submission. But when the contractor is submitting the beam model, they don't have any professionals who can actually use it, who can actually predict what is the beam model and how we can use it. So that is one of the barriers. So I think to address technological challenge can be looked by the institute as well. Like it should be part of their course curriculum. What do you think, Gokul?
But PD, I believe that BIM is a need of the hour now. If an organization can employ this much employees, invest on other things. Yeah, you told about proficiency in Excel and other software. The same person who is comfortable with Excel, he can also learn BIM software, or a company can send that person, that particular person, to some courses which teaches that person BIM, so that he can implement the same technology in his company. So
Yes,
it's
yes.
just a matter of some upskilling. That's all. What do you think, PD?
Uh, I partially agree with you, but see, when you talk about packages like Microsoft Excel or Autodesk, AutoCAD, these are the things which is been like involved in our existing course curriculum. So I think the need of the industry has to be identified by the educational institute as well, and industry has to put some efforts and some money to try to look at this projects and tools from a better perspective. Like they can save lot of money by cutting their cost from taking meetings offline, by cutting their cost by printing their drawings and all these things. So it's a very useful tool, but I think still we like to understand its importance. Time will tell, like how we are gonna use in our construction industry.
Yes, exactly, PD. But I have
Yeah.
seen a lot of newcomers, freshers in the industry who mainly emphasize on studying BIM or more concentrating upon BIM models. They are doing courses on BIM so that they know that BIM is the future and they are coming
but
with things.
but Gokul, one of the drawback that I would like to point out is that, see, currently it's true, it might be true that a lot of students are learning Bing and stuff like that, but the thing is that even if they're very proficient in BIM, when they go into an organization, there is no platform where they can use that. See, if I know
Yes,
BIM
yes.
and I'm going to an organization and the nowhere in the organization are they using BIM for a project, it is of no use, right? So I guess it's not only about the students and with the course curriculum. I guess even organizations need to take some bold steps. Might affect their profitability in the short run, but I guess they need to take that decision now.
Yes, exactly, Krishna. So one of the major challenges which was faced by our industry is disruption of supply chain. So we know that the vendors are already struggling in terms of fund in this COVID-19 era. And now due to the problems in border, India is reducing its import of Chinese goods. So our country is so much dependent upon this Chinese import. We know that. So an alternate or alternative local product which is a need of the hour now. And this alternative local product should not compromise anything on quality as compared to other goods. Do you agree with this, Padmadip?
I agree with you, Gokul. See, again, I'll like to quote McKinsey and company over here. If you look at innovation aspects for basic materials, especially for the local materials, it is less than 30% in terms of innovation and making new ways of doing business. Like you can't find these materials on any online platform. It's very difficult to find. Second aspect is other than importing materials from other countries, transportation was the major challenge. During this lockdown, there was complete shutdown of any sort of logistical operations. So site and the projects have to take a special permission from the governing body to let their vehicles move around the city. So it takes a lot of efforts again. If you refer the KPMG report for safety aspects, they have given around 8 to 9 different points that we need to look for. Like we have to keep a separate entry and exit for the transportation vehicles. We have to check materials before it enter the site. So maybe at the port location itself, then the people who are dealing with the material shall be isolated from the other staff members to avoid any sort of like affection in between the team itself. So there were a lot of challenges, and even giving permission from the government side was a big challenge, because they were seeing this as a thing to work on a safety aspect at that time, rather than promoting any project to keep working. So I think there are a lot of challenges, and as I mentioned in the start of the series, today's episode, that supply chain was the biggest bottleneck in the entire system.
Yes, man,
Completely
exactly.
disrupted, completely disrupted.
And I think government has to take necessary steps for this because the government department, including central, state, and other ministries, we have Niti Aayog also for planning and all. So they have to take
Yes.
crucial step for the revival of the economy.
So yes, if we look for the future of construction industry, there is lot to be done, and first and foremost, the thing which the entire construction industry in India as well is looking for is digital transformation. This is surely a change which is going to come in terms of all the aspects, in terms of procurement of material, in terms of dealing with the legal documents, contracts, or in terms of handling the project side. So there is one very innovative tool currently being used at a very prototype level. It is called cyber physical system. So what basically this cyber physical system does is it is a combination of like what you call it is a kind of a conceptual model for your real on-site operations. Let's take an example. Suppose you are working on a site, and you are trying to handle material with a tower crane, and the wind speed is quite high. So you want to try to understand how the particular activity will look in real life. You can try to see the model with help of this tool. So it's a very interesting thing. Like we have experienced on our construction side that many of the times, if you try to bend even a smaller variation of equipment, it result into some sort of accident. So this is a very good take on it.
Vidya, are you aware of any project or any company that is actually into the technology that you just mentioned right now?
No, no. As I mentioned at the earlier stage also, it is more from a testing side nowadays, but soon it will be used in the construction industry. Currently, we are still sticking with the CCTV surveillance and beam models. So
Yeah.
we have not yet gone so far, but yeah, you might have seen this thing somewhere in United States, and even in some parts of UAE. Nowadays, people are using this virtual models to see how the construction is going to take place in real life.
True.
But
Actually,
what I'm talking,
this seems
yeah.
like some variation of the digital twin technology that I
Yes,
was
so
speaking about in the
for
previous episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Krishna, I think you are partially true, but digital twin technology is again a different story. I think we'll surely take the entire topic in detail. Another interesting thing, which even the Indian construction industry and government is pushing for this thing is integrated project delivery model. So this is a very interesting look from our sector. Like we try to mostly focus on aspects like, okay, the contractor is responsible for the work, but now with this IPD into the picture, all the parties are coming together to resolve the aspects. Like they are trying to solve the issues with a collaborative thing. Like who is in the better position to resolve the aspect is been assigned the job. Like they are trying to optimize the design. They are trying to reduce cost as and when possible, and all the factors has been taken care of. So lot of reforms, lot of support has been provided from the client side. I have also mentioned in one of my article that it is a very correct time for India to look for diplomacy in terms of providing support to other countries as well. So those kind of reforms and policies can be looked during this pandemic, and I think we'll build back stronger, as many of the philosophers says.
So I guess that was a lot of information to sum it up on the impact of COVID-19 on the construction sector. A lot of points put up by Gokul and PD regarding how this pandemic is affecting our industry and what we as a sector can do in the coming days so as to mitigate some of its effects. And great discussion, I would say. Anything more, PD, you would like to add? Something that you missed up, or even Google for that matter? Would you like to add something more?
I think for the future coming days, I think we should look for more aligned thinking to revive our industry. We can look for the transformation changes to bring up the like missing parts like supply chain, bring our migrant workers back on the track. And this is a great opportunity, I think, to look forward for the modern methods of doing construction. This is all things we need to look for in the coming future.
And Gogul, would you like to make any concluding remarks?
yes, PD, you're totally right. Lot of changes are to be happen in construction industry because it's the apt time. I believe it's the apt time for the transformation, and just hope for something better in our industry in future. So we call it a day today, and thank you so much, friends, for listening to us in this second episode. Stay tuned for our upcoming episode, and we'll be coming with a lot of new stuff. Thank you, guys, and have a good day. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Conversations with Reinforced Engineers podcast. Hope you found value in the discussion and do tune in for next episodes. And in case if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for updates on future episodes. Thank you once again and have a great day.